Hello, unique soul, and welcome to your next session with Mystic Moontree. My name is Stephanie Samarusti, and today we're going to talk about some concepts about learning a little bit more in depth what your aura is, what your chakras are, and how your energy body affects your overall holistic health. I wanted to do this video because some of the people coming into my programs are very new to these concepts and don't have a really deep understanding of what people are talking to them about when they're saying your aura is imbalanced or it's blocked, or you may need to have some crystal healing or some color healing or some vibrational healing, some energy healing, or some spiritual or aura work. Sometimes people just have never been, sometimes people have never experienced these concepts before and have never heard these terms before. And in the average day-to-day world, you may come from a part of society that this isn't common practice, and so this may be a little bit new to you. So I wanted to just dive into the very beginner's basics of what these principles are and why this is so important to bring this into your life as a common practice, just as something that is just as important to your overall health as going to your doctor or eating a healthy diet or exercising or making sure you get so much sunlight in a week so that you're getting your vitamin D. Spiritual health and auric health is just as important to the health of your overall being as making sure that you go and see a doctor whenever you're feeling bad. So, the reasons that you might be finding yourself here is maybe you have hit some walls with the Western medicine field, or maybe you have been referred to this video via a friend that is already on this path, and understands a little bit more about these concepts. And so I'm just really glad that you found your way here, and hope that you are intrigued and interested in some of the things that I'm talking about. Some of the things that I discuss are a little bit taboo in modern regular society, normal society, and they're nothing to be scared about. They're just a different way of looking at the world. And if you find at the end of these videos that this doesn't speak to you, if it's something that just doesn't feel right for you, that's totally okay. And I wish you well on your path. If you do feel called to continue learning more about these subjects and move forward with healing along these different modalities and these different types of spiritual healing, then I'm really happy to have you. So what we want to start to talk about today is just some very beginning principles of what is the aura and what are the chakras, so that you have an understanding of why those things may be out of balance inside of your body today. So the aura is something that if you're not as sensitive, if you don't have fifth or sixth senses, you're not clairvoyant, you're not clairsentient, you're not empathic, and you don't have second sight, things like that, it's not something that your average human being, your normal human being, is able to actually like see or feel or experience every single day. Even though it does exist around us, and science, especially quantum physics, is able to start to bring some actual facts and research, diagnostics and numbers and logistics and things like that into the field to actually prove to someone that doesn't have those extrasensory abilities that these actual energy bodies and auric resonance light bodies and magnetic fields and heat and the light that our body puts off, that it actually does exist, and we can measure it, and we can start to describe what the aura actually is in scientific terms. But we have a lot of cars going by, so I apologize if you guys can hear that in these videos. I might pause a little bit because I can't hear myself think when they do drive by, but hopefully you can stick with me through all of that. So basically, what I'm talking about is that your average normal person, how they might experience the aura is having a tingling sensation on their body. They might feel something like when somebody's looking at you from across the room and you can't actually tell that they're looking at you, but you have that intuition, that feeling, that sensation that somebody is actually watching you or behind you staring at your back. It may be that intuition when you think somebody's going to call on the phone and you actually have the phone ring, and it's not just coincidence. You do this over and over and over again. Some of those experiences, those intuitions, those weird synchronicities and occurrences are actually our aura sensing something about to happen out in the world prior to it actually happening. And so when it's not just a fluke occurrence, when this is something that you're regularly able to tune into, that is just one indication that your aura is actually functioning to help validate that you actually do have this energy field around your body. Other things that some people experience is being sensitive to environments, other people's emotions, getting the heebie jeebies about a place, or like a really deep gut feeling that they shouldn't do something, having ill health that is coming from like an unrecognized source. All of these things can be different types of indications of how our aura is being affected by the manifest or physical world around us. So, what the aura um, is basically the energy body that we can't see normally if we're not a sensitive with our physical eyes, that exists about a foot up to 8 feet, up to 15 feet if you really have an extensive auric field away from your body. And depending on how ill you are, how energized you are for the day, how you're actually emotionally feeling for the day, the size of your aura will get bigger or smaller up to where your actual physical body is, or your skin here. So the energy body is made up of different things. It's made up of spiritual ether. It's made up of magnetic fields, heat, light, different sound resonances and particles that we put off from our physical body. So our aura is basically, you could imagine it as a sphere, a bubble, or an egg shape of energy that extends out from your physical form a few feet away from your actual body. And there are other aspects in addition to that bubble that some people have, which may be seen as filaments or tentacles of light, or little ropes or feelers or cords of energy that actually can come out like lightning, or like little feathers, strands, things like that, off from the outer edge of this field or this bubble, that can be likened to the magnetic field. You know how the magnetic field spirals around the center of the earth, and you have the sphere of the earth, and the magnetic field is something we don't see with our eyes, but it is constantly generated around the outer edge of the earth, kind of like the atmosphere as well. So the atmosphere, not the air that makes up the atmosphere, the air particles, but all the energy that makes up the outer edges of the stratosphere, and all of those different parts of the planet can be likened to the aura of the planet, just like we have an aura around our body. So the auric body, if you were a sensitive and you had clairvoyant sight and you were able to see colors and to see the aura, would look like a rainbow or multicolored bubble, or kind of shimmery, misty and vibrant bubble around people when they're walking around from their day to day. So a lot of sensitive people describe the aura like that it's either some kind of cloud or some kind of bubble or some kind of sphere around people every single day. And when we're walking around with this aura of energy around us that most of us are not aware of, because we're not taught from birth to feel out into it, to sense this extrasensory layer that we have to our being, we are constantly bumping that aura up into other people, things in the world, different energy environments, and when we don't know how to maintain or take care of this part of ourself, it is constantly being intruded upon and kind of crashing into the other energies and the other resonances and the other spiritual situations that are out there in the world, including like emotional and mental energies that are floating out there from other people or from just other situations in the world. So your energy field is constantly being bombarded, especially when you're out in a public space with different with other energy resonances that are different than your own vibration of your aura. And I'll get into what a vibration is here in a minute. But so that bombardment that's constantly happening, whether it be a positive bombardment or connection or infiltration of your aura, or a negative happening, as if you like tripped and fell and slammed your shoulder into a wall too hard. You can do the same thing with your aura and have injuries occur to your aura just from being out there in the world, because we're like little toddlers that don't even acknowledge that we have an aura. And so these woundings and these events happen without a lot of our knowledge. So our auras are constantly being bombarded by energies, and when we don't know how to properly maintain them or address these situations, and a lot of society tells us to not admit that we've had these sensations, not admit that this has happened to us, and that the aura doesn't exist because it's very taboo to talk about these things if we do believe in them, that there's not a lot of information out there about how to actually heal those injuries and those experiences, or even just to understand and talk about these experiences that we have out in the world. So my job as an energy healer is to acknowledge that some of us do have these energy bodies around us. Most of us, 99.9% of us, do have an auric field around us, and they are influenced by our interaction with the world and with other people. And that energy involvement with the outside world can cause wounding to the aura, and that because the aura is a part of our being, the wounds that happen within the energy body can actually do what we call vibrate down into the physical world. So through the different particles of your being, the earth, air, fire, water, and spirit, the different parts that make us a whole. And we can also talk about that in the different principles of like our mind, our heart, our body, our spirit, and our soul. All of these different parts of our being, of our wholeness, are all connected as our one whole individual self. And when one part of ourself is injured, it starts to malfunction, it starts to misfunction, and that wounding that has happened, or that imbalance that has happened inside of one part of our being, it affects the other parts of our being. Just like if you have a really crazy day at work and you're thinking really hard and your mental space has been really affected by your day and by the things that you're trying to accomplish for the day at work, can cause upheaval in your heart space. It can cause anxiety, it can cause stress, it can cause worry, it can cause aggravation, it can cause irritation. It could cause you to fight with your partner when you get home because you're just so mentally exhausted from working on what you were working with at work, that you hit a breaking point with your mental space. It vibrates down into what we call the heart chakra space, and it causes a lot of imbalance in that heart chakra space until you just can't take it anymore, and you lash out at someone because they do one little thing that just snaps you and takes you over the edge. So the auric body has to do with how the energy of a situation might wound you, might imbalance you, or cause some other kind of ill health situation with your spiritual field that then may affect your mental space and your emotional space, and then eventually may actually cause physical disease. So when we're trying to acknowledge some of the imbalances in the aura and heal the different issues that your aura may have, what we're trying to do is not just heal the aura, but also bring some harmony and some peace and some healing eventually to the mental space, the emotional space, your heart, to the physical body by default. So this is a complementary medicine for physical healing. I can't claim to cure any physical diseases or that I'm treating any physical diseases, but it is very supportive to like Western medical healing. So when we're talking about the aura, it has to do with healing your entire and your whole being by using practices that heal the auric field so that it can then move into the other spaces of your being and help them heal as well. So the auric field, let's start talking about a couple of concepts. The auric field is also referred to the energy body or the spirit, okay? When somebody is talking about being a spiritual person, they're usually talking about being more in touch with their spiritual side. Now, a lot of people confuse this with religion, which is all about the soul, and sometimes the word spirit is used to reference the soul, but the soul in my mind has to do with that insubstantial etheric energy that remains after we die, and it has to do with what people believe happens in the afterlife, or if there's some type of way of being or moral code or ethical code that you should follow here on earth. That usually has to do with like structured religion. So I'm not here to influence anyone's belief constructs, is what I call them, or their religious beliefs. I am just trying to help people on their spiritual path, but I do want to detour, like go on a little one of my tangents that I do on my videos here to talk a little bit about religion, just in the respect of how that affects like spiritual healing with Mystic Moon Tree. So the auric body is influenced by your spiritual belief. It is influenced by your soul and what you believe about the afterlife and your moral codes and things like that. So religion, organized religion, is an indoctrination created by humans, right? And whether you believe that that comes from a divine source, a divinity, a god, a goddess, or some kind of universal, force that just doesn't have a consciousness behind it. None of those things influence how I'm going to change my plan for healing you, other than we will adapt some of like the discussion topics based on your religious beliefs. But you have to understand that my religious beliefs and my spiritual beliefs and do a little bit dictate how I designed this program and my beliefs and how this functions and works. So if you don't resonate or agree or have some kind of commonality between my belief and your belief, then coming to do the wellness path is not going to be right for you, because we have to have some kind of agreement over our universal truths, or at least an understanding over some of it having some correlation. Otherwise this mode of healing is not going to be for you. So I guess what I wanted to talk about a little bit is about the different world religions, and then I'll get into why I wanted to talk about that. So I don't want to preach at anyone. This is definitely not what this video is about. It's just about awareness and opening people's eyes so that we can have an understanding of how this affects our aura in the rest of the video. So there are a few different types of religions in the world right now, and I'm not going to get into all the little minor religions that are out there, because there's 80 different types of acknowledged religions at least, but most of those fall into several different categories, and all of these are concerning the soul. So So one of the predominant religions is the Judeo-Christian or Muslim branch, and that is a Western philosophy, even though it is practiced in the East some. And they believe in one whole soul, and they believe in an afterlife, and they believe in one specific God or monotheism. Then we have some other religions like the heathen, pagan, Wiccan, and Druid religion, which are polytheistic or pantheistic, and they believe in multiple gods, or they might be dualistic, where they believe in a god or a goddess. We also have religions that are like shamanic or animistic, like the Native Americans or Aboriginal peoples, who believe in maybe a creator spirit, but they're very animistic. They believe that spirit exists inside of everything, inside of every little inanimate object, like every stone, every leaf has a little part of a conscious spirit inside of it, and a consciousness, and that it has feelings, it has a mind of its own, it has emotions, and it has some sense of the fact that it does exist. So that's what animism is. We also have the Eastern philosophies, which are Buddhism, Taoism, Hinduism, and many other Eastern offshoots of that, like Confucianism and things like that. We have the Celtic belief system, which believes in reincarnation, kind of like the Eastern philosophies. The Eastern philosophies are very much about finding Zen, about moving all of your energy up into the higher chakras. They focus mainly on the top three chakras. They believe in a 7 chakra energetic system, where I believe in a 9 chakra energetic system. And they are very much about releasing the ego or releasing the self, and becoming very much more concerned about the society and the whole, and letting go of your own needs, and that it's all about the family, it's all about the society, and then ultimately it's about even releasing that and just becoming one with Zen. So I am not of any of those religions, but it's totally fine if you are. But I do need you to understand that I am not Judeo Christian. I am not Buddhist. And so I do not believe in completely releasing the ego. And I do not believe in the doctrination of the church. I am a Druidic pagan hedge witch. And so that means that I believe in, as far as the afterlife and the soul go, I believe that there's plenty of room in the multiverse for everybody's afterlife to exist. I believe that many deities exist, including the monotheistic deities and including the polytheistic and the dualistic deities. I believe that there is a universal life force, and I believe in all of that. So I have an all-encompassing belief. There are also 2 other paths that I wanted to mention, which is agnostic and atheist. And agnostic has to do with believing in the possibility of spirits, or the possibility of an afterlife, or the possibility that there is a divine plan, but not knowing for sure what you believe. Being atheist means that you might be hardcore into science, and you believe that we're all just a program, or that we just like came into being, and there's no meaning behind any of it, that there is no God, no goddess, no universal force, that nobody has control of anything, and when we die that we just cease to be. So those are some of the belief constructs that are out there, and how that affects healing of the auric body is that your very strong belief in your soul, in that part of the holistic approach that we're going after with this wellness path, does influence how you're going to react to some of my beliefs that I come at you with. So if you're not an open-minded person, and if you have a very black and white view of the world, this may be kind of challenging for you guys to have some of this new information come at you, or this alternate way of thinking come at you. And so I just hope that you guys are open and understand that you guys don't have to believe anything that I believe, but if we don't have some kind of commonality between your beliefs and my beliefs, then we're going to hit a roadblock on how far we can go, because I can only take your spiritual healing as far as I'm able to in my wheelhouse and in what I believe in. And so if you're like in left field and you're like totally on the fence or totally uncomfortable or totally just opposed to my views on something, it is 100% fine that you don't believe like I do. But if we can't get past that, then there's no way for me to help you further on your healing path. So I just wanted to bring that up so you guys understand that when we're moving forward with talking about the aura and the chakras and things like that. If you hear something and it's a hard no because it's not how you were brought up or how you believe, then I'm not going to be able to help you, and I'm sorry for that. But that's okay. You need to find somebody that is in your wheelhouse to take you down a spiritual healing path that's right for you. So the other concepts that I wanted to talk about were spiritual, natural, and environmentalist. A lot of people believe that they can divorce themselves from religion and from the soul and just say that they're spiritual, that they're going down this healing path and they never have to talk about the soul and they never have to talk about their beliefs in the afterlife or their moral code, or what others think that how they should be in their moral and ethical lifestyle, as opposed to how they want to be and the conflicts that happen there. Now, I do holistic healing here at Mystic Moontree, so there is no way for me to divorce the spirit from the soul. We heal the mind, body, heart, spirit, and soul here. So even though I support all different belief paths here, we will need to delve a little bit into how your beliefs conflict with other beliefs that are out there and how open you are to finding diplomatic solutions between those conflicts. Now, if you are a natural person and an environmentalist, that doesn't necessarily mean that you are being spiritual or you are or you're accessing your soul and balancing that part of your being. So I just wanted to throw that out there, that just because somebody is natural and environmental does not mean that they are actually following a soul path. It may mean that that it brings some spiritual fulfillment to them, but it doesn't necessarily mean that you're following a religion just because you're natural or you're environmental. So even though that's very healing to be very in touch with nature and to be very conscious of how we affect the environment, it may bring you fulfillment on a spiritual and emotional level, but it's not necessarily what I view as addressing your beliefs in your moral structure and the afterlife and how that interacts with other people's beliefs. So the reason that I went off on that tangent is that those beliefs tend to cause a lot of blockages with healing the aura and the chakras. So we have to come at this path with an open mind to some of these new concepts, and then just have a really open discourse and be really open and honest with me verbally about what you're feeling a little bit unsure about, so that I can answer some questions and we can find out if this is working for you or if it's just not the right thing, and that's totally okay. So I think I want to go down. I have a little sheet of paper here that I'm following along so that I stay on topic and that we talk about the right concepts in this particular video. So when we're talking about the soul, I just want to differentiate the soul from the spirit, and sometimes the soul will be referenced as the spirit just because there's a correlation in the English language that sometimes in common conversation, they tend to be referenced as the same thing. So spirit may mean soul and soul may mean spirit. But when I'm actually talking about the healing path and a specific healing principle that we're wanting to focus on, the soul I believe in as the entirety of your spiritual essence. It's that part of us that may exist after we die, and that that may be influenced by your moral and ethical code, and that may be influenced by the state of your aura or your karma, and it may not be, depending on your spiritual or your religious belief. But that the soul is the part of us that comes from somewhere else, that exists after we die, if it in fact does exist, and that it is what we connect to when we are connecting to the ether through our aura and our chakras. When I talk about spirit, I am actually referencing the physical manifestation of our soul. So the physical manifestation is our aura, and are the energies that permeate our entire physical being. So spirit can also be separated into a couple of different concepts that reside into different parts of our being, or originate from different parts of our being, where I feel like the soul is housed wherever your consciousness is inside of your body. So if I'm referencing your soul, I'm usually referencing the spot inside of your body where you are saying, I am me, where you normally reside, where your consciousness normally hangs out inside of your body or near your body. So when I'm talking about the spirit, I'm talking about the life force, the aura, the etheric being that's able to sometimes astral project outside of our being, like during dreams or during deep meditative states, or the higher self, that higher consciousness, that higher awareness that is able to connect with the etheric realms. So when I'm talking about spirit in your sessions to come, those are the different concepts that we're talking about. The life force actually tends to generate from lower down in your body, from like in your solar plexus, and sometimes the Kundalini energy, if we're able to harness that, from down in more of the base of your being. So, yeah, when I'm talking about spirit, we're talking about one of those different descriptive terms that are referencing a different part of the manifest part of your spirit. Okay, so the life force, the aura, which is the outer auric sheath. So when I'm talking about the aura, I could either be talking about it in the whole sense of all of these parts, including all of the chakras which permeate the physical being, or I could be talking about the outer auric sheath, which is the almost the skin or the lining of the outer aura, all of the different tentacles and feelers and energetic cords and things like that that you use to touch and interact with the world out there, or the actual inside meat of the auric bubble, which is the rainbow vibrational colors and resonances and kind of the music or the particles that are dancing around the outside of our body. So the aura references that. The life force is what's actually generated from the food that you eat and from your outer aura that gives you that vibrancy, that makes you feel full of energy inside of your physical being. The etheric being or the astral projection is that part of you that can step outside of your body but still remain connected through the astral cord, and where you can actually travel to different spiritual realms without actually passing away. If you were to pass away, that part of you that might experience like a near-death sensation, that is the actual soul, okay, which is different than the astral etheric being. And then the higher self is that higher consciousness, that all-knowing part of yourself that can communicate down to you when you're able to connect with it in meditation to help keep you on your higher path and a more enlightened path, and help you become awake and help you open your third eye. So that's that part of you that helps you connect through your star seed to like the higher masters, to God and Goddess, to that universal force, to just the ether and the strands of fate and things like that. So that is your higher self. So all of those are part of spirit. The other things that are part of spirit are your chakras and your medians. And so the chakras, which I've talked about in previous videos that you guys may have seen outside of this session plan, are how the auric body vibrates down into the actual physical body, and how it governs the spiritual kind of machine that functions inside of our body. The chakras usually are associated with a specific nerve hub, a hormonal gland, certain organs in the body, and certain like epicenters of processes. So as opposed to the Eastern philosophy, because I come from a witchy background and it's a little bit different than the Eastern belief in the chakras, I use the word chakra because there's not really a correlating word for chakra in the Western field of herbal and holistic medicine. So chakra is just something that's easily recognized by most people that have done yoga or have had any experience with metaphysics in this field. Chakra is a familiar term. So even though I don't believe in them exactly the same as the Eastern philosophy, I definitely do believe that there are smaller energy centers inside of our auric field that kind of stitch in or influence our physical body to an extent. And those are located in different parts of our aura. So that's what we're going to talk about next. If you are on a heathen path, there is a belief that the soul or the spirit separates into three souls, or three separate areas of your spirit, if you will. And that actually correlates with like the lower three chakras, the middle three chakras, and the upper three chakras. So I'm going to start down at the lowest vibration or the lowest resonance. And I don't mean this by low meaning negative or evil in any way. It is literally just the slowest or most like calm and soothing vibration, sound, resonance, and the darkest color in our chakra. And that is the earth seed chakra. So the earth seed chakra is located a few inches below your feet, and it's how you connect very strongly to Mother Earth outside of your root chakra. It's represented by the colors gray and black, and it usually governs strength and endurance, how strong you feel in your day-to-day life, where you get your resilience and your fortitude and just your endurance to make it throughout the day. That's where our earth seed comes from. A lot to do with protection and defense and offense of things in our life. The root chakra, and that can govern over a lot of things going on with your feet. So if you're experiencing like feet pain or bad circulation, things like that, then it usually has to do with the earth seed. Also can have to do with past life traumas, repressed trauma. So if you have PTSD or any kind of trauma that is coming out in dreams and things like that, because it shares a connection to the crown chakra. The earth seed rules over a lot of those type of energies. So the next chakra up from that is the brown green chakra, so which is the root chakra. So it deals with like your forest greens, your darker greens that are more earthy tones, and all of your different hues of brown. So that is the root chakra, and it usually has to do with anywhere from your ankles and your feet all the way up to to your hips. So your whole leg area is where that usually resides. And it has to do with the energy of grounding, centering, and balancing your connection to Mother Earth, physical health, and just how in tune you are with the physical and the material world and your needs, like for home and family and friends, pets, children, and just your actual physical material needs in your life. The chakra that comes up from that would be the sacral chakra, and that has to do with everything that is sacred masculine and sacred feminine, because this is where our sexual parts are located at. It has to do with the womb and all sorts of womb healing, has to do with red and burgundy energies, our passions, our desires, our wants, and our primal needs that drive us forward in a kind of more predatory and go get 'em kind of attitude. The sacral chakra can also have to do with ambition and whether that is imbalanced or in any way. So, moving up from there, in your abdomen, we have the solar plexus, which rules over yellow and orange energies. It's usually gold, copper, yellow, bright oranges, and reds, and it has to do with our overall life force and how we digest the foods we eat, how that energy of what we're eating and how we're eating it affects and governs our overall drive to move forward. It has to do with courage, confidence, self-love, self-care and compassion, standing up to others, standing up for your space in the world, establishing boundaries in connection with the root chakra and with the earth seed chakra. It has to do with just everything that drives us forward with our needs in life. And sometimes with our desires. So it is the actual epicenter of how we convert energy from the auric field and from the food that we eat and we're taking in, and that life force energy, and how we convert that to actual physical energy and electricity, and how that gets distributed out into our nerve hubs. Okay, so moving up from there in our chest area here, all the way moving out to your arms, because your arms are very powerfully connected to the heart chakra, which is ruled over by pink and green energies, and different types of greens than are in your root chakra. You might also have a little bit of copper energy or white in that area. But the heart chakra obviously rules over our emotions. It's the master gland that rules over the other glands that affect our emotional or our water state in our being, where the lower chakras also have to do with water and fire and earth and the different elements. And we'll get into that in other videos if you guys are interested in watching how the elements affect our chakras. You can definitely check out my crystal aroma sessions and the videos there, because we're going to get more into the chakras in detail once you move on from, say, a wellness path. And we'll talk about how the elements affect the chakras in that video. So the heart chakra rules over everything emotional, how you connect with the world, how you've been wounded by the world, how you've wounded others in the world, how empathetic you are as opposed to narcissistic, and how just our major source of connection when you are somebody that is sensitive and can actually cord to other people. One of the most powerful places that we normally cord from, if you guys know anything about cords yet, is from our heart space, from our back, between our shoulder blades here, and from the center of our heart space in our chest here, where our heart is actually located, and from our sacral chakra. So those are some of the most powerful places that we can very often experience wounding at, because we tend to cord from there to other people and other animals and other items and situations in our life very powerfully from those two chakras most often. So moving up from the heart chakra, we move into the area which is pretty much here, which is your ears, your nose, your mouth, and your throat. And it's called the throat chakra, and it kind of makes a triangle right here. So what that chakra rules over is blue and turquoise energy, and sometimes a little bit of aqua colors. It has to do with air energy and how you express yourself. It has to do with, are you speaking your truths? Do you feel like you don't have a voice? Like how well you're able to listen to the world around you, how well you're able to breathe and bring in clean, clear oxygen out of the world. And are you having allergies, things like that? All of that rules over the lung space and the throat chakra space. So the throat chakra is very powerful in connecting the next chakra I'm going to talk about and the heart chakra. So if the throat chakra is imbalanced or wounded or blocked, or has any other type of energy problem, it can affect both the chakras above and below it. So the chakra above the throat chakra is the indigo or ultraviolet light colors in that space, and that is the third eye chakra, which is located here. It has to do with your higher consciousness, your forebrain, and that third eye, which is located right here in between your eyebrows here. So when the Eastern philosophies are talking about opening your third eye, it's about not just being smart and intelligent in your actual physical brain consciousness, in your forebrain, your right and your left brain hemispheres of the forebrain, but it has to do with going even further than that and projecting your spiritual energy out into the Akashic records and really embracing those colors and being able to have some more in-depth meditative like wisdom and information come to you that you wouldn't necessarily have access to just with your physical brain. So your third eye chakra rules over this space, and when I'm talking about this space, I'm talking about through your entire being, all the way through your physical body, and they actually project out into the auric space. They are usually seen as a spinning, almost like a galaxy of energy, but they can be viewed as spheres of light that are predominantly the colors that I'm talking about, but they do have other colors present in them depending on the mood of that chakra at that given time. When we're looking at them, like when you come in for like a Reiki session or a crystal energy healing session, they are predominantly the color that I'm talking about, but you could have a third eye chakra that has a spot of brown circling in it, and it doesn't necessarily mean that that's negative. It can mean that your third eye is communicating with your root chakra, and that's why there's a predominance of brown in the third eye chakra at that time. So yeah, basically we're talking about, if you were able to see the chakras, you would see these as kind of a spectrum of rainbow climbing all the way from the bottom to the top, or the top to the bottom of your being. And they would look like little energy vortexes or spirals or galaxies or little vibrant spheres in that area. And so what we're trying to do is just understand these things, acknowledge that they're there even if we can't see them. And then as we move along in the wellness path, we'll be talking about how to work with them, how to understand why they might be injured or out of balance, so they're not functioning properly, and how we can then heal that. So when we're moving up from the third eye chakra, then we're talking about like this upper space all the way back to your subconscious and your dinosaur brain, where it connects into your spinal column and all of your parasympathetic nervous system pretty much. So the crown chakra has to do with awareness and expansive consciousness, and how well you're able to process concepts of things that need you to take like a third party look at something, and how you're able to not be in that black and white thinking space that we talked about earlier, but how you're able to accept more of a rainbow or a gray spectrum of possibilities out there in the universe and the world, and how aware you are of your own being, yourself as a whole, how intelligent you are, has to do with both the third eye and with the crown chakra. And are you just reactive and more like just reacting to something in more of an animalistic or a low vibe sort of way, as opposed to raising your vibration and expanding your awareness, and not just reacting to situations in your life, but if you're actually choosing new ways of reacting to things to have new outcomes, more positive outcomes in the way that you live your life in the future. So, the last chakra that I want to talk about actually exists a few inches above your head. But if I was really going to discuss this chakra, it's not in the physical plane where you could actually literally like measure it and locate it as being right here. It exists in the ether, transdimensionally, multidimensionally, and it connects to the ether, it connects to your soul, your higher self, and anything that the world might call God, goddess, that universal life force, or the just the outer energies and auric resonance of the world around you, that higher realm, or those multi alternate dimensions that we can connect to pull in white rainbow light. That's what the star seed is for. And when you're not able to think about things outside of just the physical world and your physical needs that you actually need in the material world to keep you alive, or what your wants or desires are, we know that we have an imbalance in our higher chakras when we're not able to think about these higher concepts of spirit, soul, and do I need things other than just feeding myself and drinking something that tastes good, or oh, because that pretty purse looks good at the store and I want to buy it, or I really wanted to build that thing onto my house today. When we're only thinking about the manifest world needs, we are not acknowledging some of our spiritual needs, and there's just this vast realm of possibilities for you if you're able to connect with those higher chakras and start taking in some of the positive vibes from them. So those are our chakras, and that is what we are trying to look at and address with the wellness path in a more general sense, with the outer aura and the chakras in kind of a general how they're communicating, and do you even know what these things are? Can you even feel them? Kind of way. And then when we move past the wellness path into other session packages that I offer, we start to work with more detailed concepts of these energy hubs within our aura, as well as focusing more on something like your really fine-tuned meridians, which is how those chakras spread energy out into little micro areas, localized areas of your body, which is what like acupuncture and acupressure is trying to rebalance when you go to see them, or even like when you go and have a massage. They're actually stimulating the meridians, or the little micro vortexes that the chakras feed into, out into more specialized areas of your body. So like if you were having a problem with the energy of your pointer finger here, instead of just working with the heart chakra, or just working with the chakras in the hands or the feet, we might be working with a meridian, where an acupuncturist might put a needle into this joint here to help discharge negative energy from that area, and to reset the spiral of that meridian. So I'm working in the sessions that I do, I'm really working with the larger chakras, and it takes us time to get into deeper concepts to work with something as small as a meridian. We have to look at the bigger picture, find out what really is wrong to get to those smaller, littler detail problems because it's almost like you can't see the one leaf circling around in a hurricane because the hurricane is so big. We have to address the fact that your aura is experiencing a crisis state of being in a hurricane and being torn apart before we can reach out and grab the leaf and see how the leaf is doing. So, when we're talking about the aura and the chakras, that is a little bit of the terminology behind that and what we're going to be learning about in future sessions. So, when I'm talking about the chakras and the aura, what we're trying to achieve with each session that we're doing is we're trying to locate what's wrong with that area, and we're trying to resolve what's wrong with that area. To make it really simple for some of you that are very new to this and don't know a lot about it, it's my job to know about it more than you do and to educate you as much as you need to know for self-care, and then to kind of put a little bit more back in my arms to help you with it, with the more complex concepts. But that what we're trying to do is we're trying to change the positive light emitted from your energy, the vibration, the sound, the resonance, the flow. A lot of these terms are what we use. It's just common terminology in the field to express how that energy moves or doesn't move, how positive it vibrates, how it sounds, how it looks, how it behaves. The terminology that we use may be something that you guys are very new to and sounds really special or really unique or really magical, but any type of new practice that you guys interact with, just like going to the dentist or just like going to the doctor or just like going to the market, there's going to be terminology that we use that you may be new to. So if anything is confusing to you that I talk about in these videos, please feel free to just send me an email or send me a message, and I'm happy to answer any questions that you guys have to help you be comfortable and understand what we're doing and what we're trying to achieve with these sessions. So, what the aura should be. The aura should be a dynamic, vibrant rainbow of colors. It should be radiating a massive amount of light from it without causing burnout to the individual. The aura should be in a harmonious frequency and resonance of sound and energy that doesn't cause ill health in the mind, the emotions, or the body of the individual. And how we determine that is something that we spend years learning how to do as a crystal energy practitioner. So I am a proponent for self-care, and I do in these videos try to teach you guys how to practice some of this energy healing at home to a certain extent so that you're not completely reliant on me for self-healing in a pinch, but that I can be a guide and a teacher on how to do some of this at home, but that when it really comes down to it, that if you are feeling not right, and if you're feeling bad, if you're feeling low vibe, or like something is wrong in your energy body, that it's my job to do the research and to be immersed in all of the education side of crystal energy healing and herbalism, aromatherapy, tea healing, color healing, and all of the other modalities that I practice, including Reiki and things like that, and magic and stuff, that I'm here to be an expert in that field and to be able to try to locate some of those problems and imbalances more powerfully and quicker than you might be able to at home. And that because of the nature of this being a energetic problem on your own being, that in order to heal some of these things at home, you may be tapping off of your own energy to try to heal yourself. And when you have a cup that is supposed to be brimming full of spiritual water, and there's a crack in that cup, or that cup has been completely drained and emptied because of the spiritual problem that you're dealing with, that it becomes almost impossible to heal yourself with some spiritual ailments, that you would actually be damaging the cup more. You would be breaking your body, breaking your cup, and really doing some severe injury to yourself to just try to heal yourself at home. That sometimes it becomes very important to have an outside source of energy to help you guys heal these imbalances and these energetic diseases, pretty much. That you really do need an outside practitioner to help give you the energy in the right way, in a way from somebody that is actually professional and experienced and can't hurt you with the energy practices that they're using. Some energy practitioners out there are not not as savvy and do not understand how they can injure somebody if they perform these things in a irresponsible and novice sort of way. That you can cause injury if they're done in the wrong way at the wrong time with some people. So the aura should be a healthy, functioning, vibrant, flowing, free flowing, and not blocked organ of our being. And because most of us have been ignorant of the fact that we have an aura, because of our cultures throughout most of our life, that isn't normally the case. There usually are a lot of imbalances and disharmony in our aura, affected because of effects from the outside world throughout however long you guys have lived. That you have been wounded, you have been imbalanced, and you have had a lot of problems happen with your aura that have been unaddressed for years because you were just unaware of them, and you've been functioning like that for years and years and years. So the idea of whichever program that you're a part of and watching this video on is to ascertain, to first acknowledge that you do have these imbalances that you have been just enduring for who knows how long, and to actually start to unravel the mystery behind them, if there is a mystery behind them, and just to illuminate where these problems are and to start to resolve them. And that's my job, to help you do that. So what we have to start to do in order to unravel that inside of our aura is we have to acknowledge that a lot of the belief constructs out there, or the religions of the world, or the family belief constructs that have been taught to us or projected on us since childhood, how our societies believe and commonly function, how friends may even tell us we should behave, or we should be, or we should believe. All of that has influenced us over a lifetime. And just because that is right for the outside world, and that functions well for the outside world and for other human beings, or other corporations, or other governments, or other societal groups, just because that works for other people does not mean that it intrinsically works for you as a sovereign spiritual being. That just because you're trying to fit in with the norm does not mean that you actually can spiritually, physically, emotionally, and mentally fit in. You were created a specific way when you came into being, into this life that you're living right now. And there are certain fundamental principles that make you you. And when you bombard and challenge those principles, or wound those principles, or restrict and contain those principles back beyond what they need to survive and be healthy and be well, not just in the physical being, but in all the other aspects of our being, the emotional part of yourself, the mental part of yourself, the spiritual and soul part of yourself, and the physical part of your body. when those things are bombarded too much by the outside world, we become imbalanced and wounded and in this massively negative state within our aura. So, unlike some of the Eastern philosophies, I am not all about releasing the ego. I do believe that that causes a major imbalance in our physical form while we're living our life here. I believe that it causes, along with the guilt that is served out from a lot of Judeo-Christian religions, that need to sacrifice yourself for everybody else constantly, even though you're at a breaking point, even though it goes against every ounce and molecule of your being, that you still are required to sacrifice of yourself until the point that you're dying inside, just because that's what society demands of you, because you're not a good person if you don't do that. I don't believe in that. I believe that to have a healthy auric resonance, we need to find a balance or a harmony between the I and the we, between the me versus them, and between the us versus you. That is very important to establish boundaries, to be able to say yes or no in the right situations. The how important it is to balance empathy with the needs of society, friends, and family, to not always put your tribe first, but that sometimes you do have to put yourself first. So when you start on this path with me, whether it be in the wellness path or in the crystal aroma sessions, the Luna program, the sacred spirit retreat, my branch path sessions, or any other program that you find yourself in, we are predominantly seeing you because you've hit a point where the outside world is bombarding you and has caused too much damage to your auric being, or that you've been self-harming and causing too much damage to your auric being, that balance between the self and the other, yourself and the people that you care about, or yourself and the people that intrude on you and say this is how you should be, and try to put you in that nice neat little box that they think you should fit into, has become so threatened and so imbalanced and so damaged that that it's causing other physical world manifestations of that auric imbalance. So you might be having emotional problems or mental problems or physical ill health. And so what we're trying to do is we're trying to find a balance and a harmony. And if you're not ready to strive and commit to working towards rebalancing your life and doing some path working to choose a new path and to create some new stepping stones with me that will get you on a higher path and a right path for you, even if it's not right for some of the people in your life, which may cause some upheaval and may cause you to lose some friends or to have some family members that might be upset with you for a little while, and to may lose some people from your life permanently if they're not really right for you as this new person that we're gonna start creating, then I would say to not continue with doing crystal energy healing, because the whole premise behind this package is that we are establishing a little bit of sovereignty for ourselves, and we're starting to really acknowledge what's wrong with us in a holistic sense. And we can't do that if we're constantly putting everybody else's needs before our own spiritual healing right now. So we have to put some predominance to our aura above what everybody else's needs are, until we get more to a balanced state and we're able to again be that empathetic soul and that kind soul that helps others. So understanding that that's what we're talking about when we're talking about auric healing on the Mystic Moontree path, is that we are trying to find balance and harmony, and not completely release the ego, and not completely take on guilt for not always being selfish when others think we should be selfless. So what might we find when doing these sessions? What we're trying to locate is different types of illness inside of your aura. So the different imbalances that we might find while doing these paths are things called blockages, which are kind of like a little knot or a dam in the energy flow that should be functioning with inside of your auric being. They could be flow restrictions, connections between the chakras that aren't communicating how they should, an overall awareness of your aura and of the flow in the outer aura, your engagement with the outside world and your boundaries versus your real world connection. So when we're talking about blockages, it is anything along those lines that causes a basically just a thickness in the energy that does not allow the energy to flow how it's naturally meant to move or channel. You might also have something that's called an imbalance, which could be a misfire or an excess or a lack of energy. So an imbalance can be caused from many, many different types of things, but an imbalance, how it looks in your aura, is that you will have like a low energy point or a dip or a well in your aura, as opposed to a bump or a spot that is bleeding excess energy out of it. It could also be a chakra that is imbalanced and is like over burning or under burning and is small and dim, as opposed to like overly vibrant compared to the other chakras, where it's taking up just way too much of your energy reserve and resources, and so it's burning you out, or it is harming the other chakras because it's taking too much energy from the other chakras. So that could be a type of imbalance that we find. We can also have cycles that no longer serve us, an energy flow that we have. Sorry, I had a notification come up on my computer I have to dismiss. I think it's glitching the video a little bit. Apologies if it glitches a little bit there, guys. I think we're back. Okay, so talking about cycles that no longer serve us. A cycle is something energetically that we have created organically just from the growth, just like you learn how to walk or you learn how to crawl, and that brain process that constantly happens inside of your neurons that tells your hand that like this hand moves first and then that hand moves first, and that you don't lift up this hand or else you will fall because all of your weight is on that hand. An energy cycle is something that was naturally and organically constructed as you were growing and changing as an energetic being. And sometimes those cycles form irregularly and unhealthily, and so sometimes we have to break the cycle down to be able to get it to grow back healthily, so that you can walk and crawl with your energy field instead of constantly tripping because you're picking up the wrong hand each time you try to move forward. So that's what a cycle is, that if we happen to find one that is or a loop, that we find an energetic loop or a cycle or a vortex that's functioning in an unhealthy manner that we need to resolve. The most common energy imbalance that I find is an ook, a cloud, or other people's truths. So this is when somebody tends to beam nasty energy at you because they're in a negative resonance or a lower vibrational emotion, or they're angry at you and you guys are in an argument, or they beam their stress or anxiety at you. They're upset and crying and you suddenly feel like you want to cry, and it just like completely wounds your heart chakra. You could feel it like a malaise or a darkness on the outside edges of your aura. It can make you feel ill, nauseous, if it came from a spiritual source as opposed to like a human source. Energy vampires also fall into this category, even though it's a suck more than a projection. So this is actually like a cloud of negative black or gray or dingy brown or some other dingy colored energy that has been sent at you from another person or was created by another conscious entity or person that you happened to walk through, okay? And that clung to your energy field and might have infiltrated your energy field if you were exposed to it for a long period of time, and then it caused imbalance inside of your aura. So that is negative uk, and or negative clouds, projections, or other people's truth or energy. So that's one type of imbalance that we're looking for inside of your aura, as well as something that is very similar that might be caused by an environmental or spiritual source. So sometimes you could also come in contact with negative energy from just the spiritual environment around you, like place energy, like a house that has encountered a lot of tragedy, and it's resonating at a negative frequency because of some horrible event that happened there, and it's constantly affecting your auric field. So we're looking for environmental, spiritual environmental concerns, as well as conscious spirits that, because I do believe in conscious spirits out there, as far as many different types, be it ghosts, spiritual entities, human, non-human, barely conscious versus non-conscious, or extremely conscious spiritual entities that can affect our aura as well. So some of those I do encounter in my practice are we normally term them thought forms or attachments, although you could also have like an ancestral ghost or some type of negative non-human spirit attached to you. What I most commonly see are thought forms, which are nothing to be afraid of. It's just something that is basically when energy, we'll go into thought forms in a much more detailed sense in another video, but for the premise of this video, to just give you guys a beginner's guide to thought forms and attachments. Thought forms and attachments are something that could be likened to a leech. Most of them are not very conscious. Some of them can be as conscious as a human being, but it takes a lot of energy, and for them to have existed for a long time and have been fed a lot of energy, be it negative or positive, for them to become a super conscious thought form. So a thought form is something that feeds off of your energy field or exists within your energy body, whether it be a chakra or the outer auric sheath or the meat of the aura around you, and it's a conscious entity that is benefiting in some way from the energy resonance that you're in. Some of them are able to affect thoughts and emotions to cause you to be in a specific energy state. Others of them just feed off of that energy state whenever you happen to be feeling or thinking a certain way, or be ill and in a certain physical state, so that they can feed off the energy that your aura resonates in when you're in that state. So we'll get more into thought forms later, but thought forms are a very, very detrimental thing to your energy body, and so we are looking for them to try to remove them and extract them from your aura and to heal your aura and to keep them from reattaching. They do come into being from feeding them, so the idea is that you have either picked up this entity from a previous person or conscious entity, like an animal or whatever, that it fed off of before, and it grew in consciousness, and you happened to walk through some place where you attracted it and were in the proper energy state for you to pick up this kind of hitchhiker, and that it has benefited anytime it has kind of poked at you and gotten you into this energy state. It has benefited by sucking or feeding off of your energy like a little leech. And so they can be very detrimental to physical health, mental and emotional health, and they're extremely imbalancing and unhealthy for your auric body. So we definitely want to remove those and dissipate them if at all possible, and keep them from reattaching if we find them. It is not an uncommon thing for people to have one or multiple thought forms or attachments. They're just not all necessarily more like conscious, like a dog would be conscious. Some of them are just like having a little bug crawling across your auric field that's like a parasite. And so we want to remove those because they're nasty and we don't want them on there. We want our aura to be healthy. So that is a main thing that we're looking for. We're also looking for other sources of energy and balance, be it something that comes from the ether. So that might be ether, spirit, whatever you call it personally. It could be Awen, Maya, magic, the universal force, fate, planets, planetary bodies sometimes have an influence on our auric state, and other universal forces. You might have a connection to deity, and you may have spirits or ancestors or a god or a goddess that is influencing your auric field as well. We do have other weird things like constructs, which would be a net, a ward, or a shield, which I'm not going to get into detail on this video about those, but they're something that we self-generate. We construct it when we are in a threatened state energetically, and at one point in our life it was something that subconsciously we created to help keep ourselves safe energetically, but it no longer serves us and it's causing some kind of blockage with us moving forward in our life and energetically. And so we want to break those down and reabsorb the energy to be used in a more positive way. We also have what I find very often in the practice are massive energetic wounds and scars and cords. And so what that is that your energy body, the outside edge of your aura, whenever you want to make a connection with a positive thing in the world, you not only reach out with your hand and with your senses to make that connection with that thing out in the world, we also reach out with our energy to get to know that thing or that person or that environment. We send out energy to try to sense the world around us, to sense the universe around us. And what that energetic cord does, and sometimes it's multiple cords, what it does is it connects with whatever it touches. Sometimes it's only for a moment, only for an instant, and depending on how positive that connection or that feedback is, you may leave that cord there for a short space of time. Or if it's, say, a family member that you constantly have positive attachment to and you love that person, you may cord to that person indefinitely and make a kind of embedded attachment. So the cord goes out and it actually like embeds between your two energy bodies, your two auras, and you guys feed each other energy back and support each other energetically. We have a massive amount of attachments in the courting sense, in positive ways too, with our society and with the common people that we allow into our constant living space, right? So those energetic connections that we make can become damaged. They can become one directional when we cord to unhealthy people. They can become cut or damaged or wounded via grief, or because like we lost a loved one, or somebody broke up with us in a relationship, and it kind of like tears that hooked cord out of us and starts to bleed energy. It's definitely like a wound. So we are definitely looking for wounds and cords in your auric field, and if you have past injuries to spots that you have corded previously where you may be bleeding energy, or you have a shield, or you have a scar that's built up with negative energy regarding that wound, and we need to resolve that wound. So that is another very common energy imbalance that we're looking for when you come in for sessions with me. And then we just have other just weird things, weird things associated with our extrasensory abilities, our clairs, especially if you are a sensitive or awakened person that has extrasensory abilities. There can be other dynamics at play within your auric field. So we just kind of class that into the other category, the weird category, because every time that I do a session, there's something unique and different for the person that comes in. So we have to adapt how we think about the aura, how I address your personal auric state, and how we make a plan to bring it into the most positive resonance for you, because your auric field is extremely uniquely different in the most positive and beautiful way from anybody else's on this planet or in the universe. And what we are trying to achieve with these sessions that you're taking is to find the most harmonious state for your individual aura that is right for you and not right for anybody else, but just perfect and balanced and harmonious and high vibe, and aware, and full of vibrant rainbow light, which is at the perfect balance for you as a spiritual being. So I hope you guys have enjoyed this video. This video was all about the aura and the different parts of it, so that you're a little more educated about it moving forward into the sessions that you're taking on this path, whatever path you find this video on. And if you have any questions or concerns moving forward with your sessions, then again, please just message me, reach out. You can text is the best way, or via messenger, or you can comment below this video depending on where you watch it at, and I will get back to you guys. You can email me too, or call me on the phone, but I don't always pick up my phone. So you can find my contact information at www.mysticmoontree.com and on the information section of your package wherever you're seeing this video at. So please move forward just into your session plan and watch the videos correspondingly to this session, and come back and reference the things that I talk about if you need to. I hope you guys have a beautiful day, and I will see you soon. Love and light. Bye.